Hi guys, Jess Speciale here and you are watching Mum on Purpose. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about the top 5 things you need to stop doing when you are a mum. Seriously, there are just, once you become a mum, there are some things you just cannot do anymore. And I'm going to address them in this video. And I'm not going to tiptoe around this, I'm just going to get straight into it. So my number 1 thing that you need to stop doing once you become a mum is you need to stop saying yes to everything. That's right. You're going to have to learn how to say no. Now this might be difficult to get your head around, and it was for me because I was a chronic people pleaser. And I'm going to tell you something. When you're a parent, you don't really know what it's going to be like to be a parent until you're a parent. And some people are just I don't know. They're like women who go into it and they're super women. But for me, I've found that they're the exception and not the rule. So you will have to learn how to say no to things. Sometimes you won't be able to go to all of the events. Sometimes you won't be able to make that cake or do that thing that you usually do. Sometimes you won't be able to take on the extra commitments that you will. And I'll tell you what, it is so much easier to say no in the beginning rather than come up with an excuse after. So way too often in the beginning, I would say yes when I meant no. I felt so out of alignment and I felt overwhelmed straight away because I wasn't acting in alignment to the way that I wanted to be, and I knew my answer wanted to be no, but I would just say yes anyway because it's the right thing to do when you're a people pleaser, right? You can't upset anybody. And then I would get to a point where I literally could not do it, so then I would need to think of an excuse about why I couldn't do it, and then I was letting people down, and then I was becoming unreliable, and then I didn't like the person that was, and people were not liking me, and my relationships were not going good. So once you become a mom, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to learn to stop saying yes all the time, and it's great practice for when your kids become toddlers. No, literally like all day. Or is that just me? I don't know, but so you're just gonna have to learn to stop saying yes all the time. Number 2 thing that you've got to stop doing when you become a mum is you got to stop trying to be perfect all the time. Again, I'm talking to myself. I used to call myself a perfectionist as if it was some godly quality, right? I used to be like, yes, I'm a perfectionist. And then all of a sudden you become a mum, you realize that is just not going to happen. You're not going to have the perfect child. Like, they're not going to sleep perfectly all the time. They're not going to have a perfect routine. You're not going to be able to get your hair done all the time. You're not going to have perfect nails. I need to get my nails done. So, and you're not going to, sometimes it's just going to have to be near enough is good enough. Now, I used to be tedious and I never, ever used to give in. I never used to get to the point where, like, if something wasn't as perfect as it could be, I would never submit it. I would never do it. But now I've just had to learn that sometimes near enough is good enough. Sometimes that'll do. If you've done as much as you can, and now the hard thing that I've had to learn to understand is I've done my best, and that my best is going to have to be enough. And I know you might think that's weird, like how is that crazy? But for me, I demanded so much more of myself than my best. And I thought that's how you grew. And then I had to just completely rechange the way I thought about it and understand that I actually grow by challenging myself, not by having to be perfect all the time. So if I'm challenging myself and I'm moving forward and I'm doing things and I'm having courage, I'm growing. It doesn't come from having to be perfect all the time. Number 3 thing you need to stop doing when you become a mum is being like everybody else. Again, I'm talking to myself. I think that's why I call it my top 5 reasons, because they really are my top 5 reasons. Like I said, I was a chronic people pleaser. I had to be like everybody else because it was really important for me to fit in, to please everybody. I couldn't act like out of, I had to be like how everybody wanted me to be. And I always used to try and be like everybody else. So the thing that I've had to learn is how to be more authentic and how to be myself. And the way that I've approached this with social media is I now use social media as a buffet. Like, what do I like? What inspires me? That's what I'm going to try and be like. I'm not going to wake up at 4 a.m. every morning, do yoga, have a nice acai bowl, and then meditate, and then do my workout, and then be the perfect mother. Like, it's just not reality. There are things that I would love to do But I'm not going to be able to do them all. So I'm just going to take it as a buffet. And you know what, I'm not going to make the handmade costume at Book Week sometimes. It's just not going to happen. But you can use social media as a way to inspire you and not pull yourself down. You know, you can use things and go, yes, I can try and implement this, I can try to implement that. Not by comparing yourself and doing all those kinds of crazy things. Number 4 thing to stop doing when you become a mum is doing it all. Yes, like I said in number 1, you may have to say no to some things. But like I said, there are some mums out there that seem to be the exception and not the rule. But for me, like, I used to try and be that person that did it all, and I demanded so much for myself. And I put myself down if I couldn't do everything that I thought I could do. So this kind of comes into another thing, which is asking for help. Sometimes you will need to delegate, sometimes you will need to ask for help. And you know, they say, right, it takes a village to raise a child, but in today's society, not only do we need to show that we can do it ourselves, but then we need to take a picture on Instagram of our perfectly clean house, of our perfectly happy family, while we're being the perfect family. You know, I just feel like there's so much pressure to not only be the perfect mums, but then to show our friends and family how well we are doing, when that is not always the case. Like, we all have those days, you know what I mean? Those days where you're just like, is it bedtime yet? And you're just like, oh, is it bedtime? You're not always going to have to be able to do it all. You're not always going to be able to do it all. Sometimes you will need to ask for help. And the hardest thing for me has been asking my husband for help, because I always say that dads are fantastic dads, but they are not the best mums. So sometimes my husband won't remember to wash the bottles the way that I like them to. But if I'm overwhelmed, sometimes I just need him to wash the bottles. And just because it's not the way that I would like to do it, it doesn't mean that it is the wrong way. Sometimes I would like him to go to the grocery store, and then he doesn't get the brands that I like, or he forgets something. And again, I just need to appreciate that that's been done and ask for help rather than have to do it all myself. So I don't know if anyone else can relate, but that was a big one for me. Number 5 thing you need to stop doing when you become a mum is comparing yourself. So you can do this when you are growing up. You know, we all do it. We all compare ourselves, but comparison is the thief of all joy. And when we become a mum, there is so much turbulence and turmoil in our life. Not only are we establishing a new persona of who we are, you know, we cannot compare ourselves to anybody else. We are not those people. We rob ourselves of our greatest gift, which is ourselves. And we also cannot compare ourselves to the person that we used to be. A lot of the reason why we become overwhelmed as parents is because we have these unrealistic expectations of ourselves. We have these expectations of who we were. And then there's the expectation of what we will be as a mum. And then what happens is reality of what we can actually achieve during the day. And, you know, they say that disappointment only arises when expectation doesn't meet reality. And when our expectations are up here, based on who we used to be, and then what reality is down here, we're constantly going through disappointed in ourselves. And who wants to go through life constantly disappointed in ourselves? Like, that is just not healthy. It is not helpful, and you should not be doing it. So not only do not compare yourself to anybody else, because you don't know that they've just had 6 toddler meltdowns and they've just managed to capture the perfect Instagram moment at the perfect time, and their life looks amazing. Right? And we compare our life to that snapshot. Not only is that not true, but we're also not the person that we used to be. And you know what? Oh my God, I am so happy I'm not the person I used to be. I am so happy I am not the person I used to be. I've just grown so much as a mum. It's been the most challenging job ever. Not only to be I was not even responsible for myself as a full adult. Like, I still can't adult properly. And now I've been given 3 tiny people, and I have to make them into decent adults in a time where technology is changing so quickly, and I feel out of control and out of touch. You know, it's difficult. But learning how to do that just the best that we can, you know, I'm becoming a pretty interesting person. Like, I just think that the people that we are able to become as being mums is just absolutely beautiful, and parents. No dissing the guys here. You know, dads, you're amazing. They're my top 5 things that you need to stop doing when you become a mum. And I hope that you can relate to some of those. I hope that some of those are just appropriate to you, because otherwise I'm just talking to myself here. And I'm the only crazy person that's had all of these epiphanies. Like, I need to stop doing this. I need to stop doing this. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm the only crazy person in the village. Oh well. I hope that you found this useful. If you did, please comment below, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have new videos for you guys every single day. And I just want to say thank you, a huge thank you for spending your time with me, and I'll speak to you guys next time.